Alright, hey guys, and welcome back to another video in my Mira's Finest series. This time we take on Nardacyon on the Shadow list using Murderess, and as per usual, I'm going to be talking about Murderess in both a solo and a team setting. So, on paper, Murderess is a extremely good character. She has access to several good auras and a decent amount of pretty good arts. However, in practice, she ends up kind of underperforming. So what do I mean? So she has some very good auras in terms of Astral Protection defensively, and then Killing Machine and Shadowrunner offensively. In a solo setting, Killing Machine and Shadowrunner are more or less equivalent, but in a team setting, Shadowrunner can be better because it does increase damage from behind. And Killing Machine can be superior in some cases because it boosts melee attack, which, since she actually has good melee attacks such as 7th Edge, can be nice. So, what's the drawback here? Well, if you're in a solo setting and you're fighting a reasonably powerful enemy, such as the superbosses, you're pretty much going to always want Astral Protection, because Murderess just, if you're not running Astral Protection, she really struggles with the fact that she lacks anything for healing, and she doesn't have a good way to tank attacks without it. And if you're running Astral Protection, that means you're not running Killing Machine or Shadowrunner, which means that the amount of damage you're doing is greatly reduced. In a team setting with support from a trash-talking reflect user such as Lyn or L, Murderess can be quite good in terms of damage using her offensive auras, but overall she ends up coming a bit short because of these shortcomings. That being said, as I mentioned a second ago, she does have access to some quite good arts. 100 Shells being a 14 hit count art with, it's not great power, but reasonable power, is pretty good, as well as Gravity Lunge being a bit more powerful and being a decent 10 count art, which does extra damage melee combos, is also nice to have. Once again, this kind of falls into that problem that she has, though, of her arts not being quite strong enough to really get things done in the way that you would hope from the initial glance there. On top of this, she has access to probably the best dual swords art, at least in terms of normal melee arts, non-TP arts, and 7th Edge, which has pretty good hit scaling, hits 6 times, and boosts TP and range combos, so it's decent with TP economy. And other than that, her arts are pretty lackluster aside from Side Slash, which can be great for TP economy during Overdrive. She does get access to some pretty good skills, such as Aura Assault, which are definitely worth considering, because that does boost your damage by a pretty good amount, as well as meaning that if you're fighting someone like Nardacyon, you don't have to invest as much in accuracy. But as I was saying, overall she comes up a bit short of what your initial expectations might lead you to believe. So let's go ahead and start talking about the build that I'm going to be running here today. So here you can see my resistances and my stats. I'm basically just trying to stack as much melee attack and potential as I can, while also maintaining about 50 of each resistances. Astral Protection with the secondary cooldown will give you 50 resistances across the board, and because Nardacyon uses Beam, Thermal, and Electric, I want to have pretty close to 100 of each of those after the Astral Protection buff. For my cycle launches, the attribute of them doesn't really matter, but you really want to be running Candid Incredible most of the time for double potential, since you're basically going to be wanting to be running Gravity Lunge and 100 Shells, as they're both some of her better DPS arts, and you really want those to be doing as much damage as possible. Other than that, I'm just kind of stacking melee attack up so that 7th Edge will have increased damage. Some people might argue that I should be running Appendage Crusher here, but against Nardacyon in particular, I typically don't like to run Appendage Crusher since he breaks off all his appendages automatically when entering Phase 3. Another thing worth noting is that I'm running Nullified Gravity Reflect on my dual swords. This is nice to have since Nardacyon during Phase 2 will gain a Gravity Reflect. I'll go ahead and show my gear here for anyone who is interested. It's pretty much what I was saying before, just running as much potential as I can, and also I'm running Beam Resistance down because Murderess does not have a Cleanse art, and it's honestly just easier than running the extra 35 Beam Resistance I would need to essentially negate his Beam Resistance 5 down he can inflict with Asmodal Finale or whatever it's called. I'm probably mispronouncing that. Then Resist Stun, as I usually say for this fight. It's not necessary, but it is highly recommended, since you can get stun locked if you get unlucky. For the arts, I'm running the obligatory Astral Protection so that I can have an easy time staying alive. I would love to be running some like Killing Machine here, but unfortunately Murderess, without the healing of Astral Protection and the extra attribute resistances, this fight is basically just non-feasible. Lightning Cloak is the only green art that Murderess gets. Green arts are obviously really important for building overdrive count, so I'm going to be wanting to run that. The electric resistance up can be nice, but I already have a high enough electric resistance that it won't be particularly helpful to my build. Side Slash, a great purple art, great for TP economy, hits 2 times and has immediate use for the secondary tertiary cooldowns, so you can really just spam this to get your TP back super quickly. Electric Surge and Backslash are just kind of here to fill slots. I don't intend to be using them very much. They're both decent arts, but nothing spectacular about them. Seventh Edge, as I mentioned before, is probably one of the, if not the best dual sword art for, that is not a TP art. It is 6 hit count, decent hit scaling, and gets increased damage during for its secondary and tertiary cooldowns. And then 100 Shells and Gravity Lunge, both being the 2 TP arts that Murderess has access to. And even though Gravity Lunge is a Cycle Launcher art, it still is based on your melee accuracy, so I don't have to worry about this missing. For my skills, I'm running Aura Assault to increase my melee accuracy and attack. Whenever I have an Aura up, I will always have my Aura up because I will die if it goes down. Hellhound is a really nice skill for just making it a lot easier to maintain overdrive. And High Tension is just here because I don't really have anything else to be running. And the extra TP is always nice for making, essentially because you can start a fight with as much TP as you want, or with a full TP gauge. This just makes it a lot easier to get the overdrive going. With all that out of the way though, I think I'm going to go ahead and just hop into the fight. So as per usual, again I want to kill this Goldia so it's out of the way, as well as doing the damage to him, however you pronounce it, so that she will call her skill. You go ahead and hop out and get on the ground. I'm going to go ahead and just want to pop Astral Protection and get ready to start building overdrive count. As you can see, I took a little bit of damage from the arts there, and that's because basically just because I don't have a level secondary cooldown Astral Protection yet, but now I do, so that is no longer going to be a problem. Now that my overdrive count is decently high, Side Slash can be pretty good for building up overdrive count. Gravity Lunge being a 10 hit count art makes it pretty good for building overdrive count. And yeah, you can see that I'm doing decent damage even while just focusing on building my overdrive count. And Nardacyon's already chunked a decent bit. I think I'm going to go ahead and use a 100 chills, and that should just about top me off. There we go. Top off my TP with some side slashes, refresh my Astral Protection, and I'm going to go ahead and start trying to deal some damage now. Gravity Lunge doing increased damage in melee combos is quite nice for Murderess, since most of her good arts, just about all of her good arts are melee arts already. Also, her having long animation TP arts makes it a lot easier for her to block launch it from arts like Adamant's Doll Finale. I guess I'm building overdrive count again because I messed that up. Was not paying attention to my overdrive duration there, but that shouldn't be any problem. Should probably pop the lightning code before, and then I can go ahead and do this. Side slash it off. I'm already almost back up to max overdrive count. Phase 3 should be starting soon. Go ahead and get my TP back. Make sure I have Astral Protection up. This should do literally nothing. And this will top up my overdrive count. I can just do some side slashes to fill back up and then just finish them off pretty much. She probably should fall off the platform. And you should go down to one more gravity lunge. And there we go. So that is Nardacyon the Shadowless using Murderess. Originally I did want to fight Farsis with Murderess, but Murderess can't fit Killing Machine on that build either for the similar reasons as this one. And she just ended up not having enough damage. So I do hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you enjoyed this video and found it interesting, and I will see you in the next one. See ya.